Hey, welcome to Naked with Dr. Money. I am Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, aka Dr. Money, CEO of ZenoVerse Wellness Group with our brands 420 Wellness Jamaica. So, guys, I'm so excited to be here. I think I told you last week I was going to go quiet. I was going to have a silent weekend. And I'm telling you, it was amazing. So basically, how it worked is I allowed myself to have music. And then I also allowed myself that if I needed just a little bit of TV to go to sleep, 30 minutes, an hour of TV at the end of each day. But basically, at sundown on Friday, I just, began to get into my Zen space. I think I soaked, I took a bubble bath, I lit a candle, and I just chilled, right? And then Saturday, I began the day with just, coffee in the morning and, clear head. And then I went into my war room. Yeah, I'm working on a big project, so I have a war room. So I went into that war room and I began to make order of the war room. And that began to, manifest as the silence allowed me to hear. And as I began to hear, things began to just present themselves in magnificence. So I'm just so excited because what that means is when we do the work and when we are connected to our spirit and the guides, then we end up using our tools, our talents in the ways that they were designed for us to use them. And guess what? We begin to live our best lives. You begin to experience the love, joy, and happiness that you desire. You begin to live that and you feel it deep within your soul. It's not something that you just fake, it's something that you literally feel. And so then people around you begin to look at you and they start asking you, okay, so tell me for real, what are you doing? Or is it something that you're taking? And you're like, yeah. It's all of those things. I have decided that I am going to focus on and work on my mind, my body, and my soul. And I'm never going to not do those things. It's a practice. I discovered that we in the US, we have a medical system that is anticipating our illness so much that we work from all of our working years, we are investing in this particular system because that's how much they feel it's going to cost to deal with us. And all they're providing is sick care. Wow. So I decided no, I want wellness. And I believe that full life of 120 years and beyond is possible. But I also believe that you have to live a certain way. I feel that you have to make certain decisions and certain choices, and you have to find those decisions and make those choices that best suit you. And I find that when you figure out what best suits you, that's half the battle, right? I'm telling everybody that the mindset work is the hardest work that you will do, and it's ongoing and continual work. You will never master it. You will continue to work on it. It becomes a practice, it becomes a lifestyle. But anyway, as usual, I have a guest. So this week I caught up with an old friend. We had an opportunity to hang out. So we'll talk about our catch up in person as well. But we're going to talk about the usual things. I'm going to touch on, mindset. What are the motivations and what are the manifestations that he's been able to realize along this journey called life? So, my friend Thomas Bell is a CEO, he's an actor, and he's a producer. And so, he is joining me today for this conversation of Naked with Dr. Money. So, let me bring him on into this conversation. Hey, Thomas.
Hi, how you doing, Steph Ardrey? How you doing, Dr. Ardrey today?
Good. How are you doing? Well, you know me as Steph, so
No,
that's still
maybe
works.
it's stuff.
Fine.
It
Yeah,
still works. Okay.
that
I just,
still works. That
Dr.
still works.
I had to pay that respect. I know the work that goes into that. Love and appreciate and respect what you do. Happy International Women's Day to you. You're such a shining example of what women can do in this country, and what kind of attitude and positivity you can bring to what we're doing every day, for all kinds of people, men, women alike. Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
God.
yeah. Well, shoot. Well, thank you. It was so nice to catch up with you. I had a blast. We stumbled around freeze, but we did finally get go. We met up with Autumn. So,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
that was
I love it
fantastic.
all.
A lovely time. It was just so lovely to see you. So, again, after so long, I follow your show. I've seen you on in other countries. I've seen you on the islands living your best life, and I'm like, wow. As soon as she gets back to the States, I can't wait to get in her presence. And sure enough, you didn't disappoint. I mean, every second was filled with learning, love, and the connection that we shared. Was something that I really find unique, and I cherish it.
It was so nice. Sometimes I think that we move so fast, we move around. I think that's also what the global pandemic, made so many people realize is that those relationships, we've been running at a fast pace. Everybody's on a device, it's like blue, 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 blue. But when you kind of stop and be still, it's like, wow, there is some value in connecting. There's something that we exchange when we have human contact, and we need that. We need
The
that.
share of energy. The share
Yeah.
of energy. You're speaking on this, on the moment of silence that you're taking, and I just found it funny that you brought that up, because I just remember that when we were together, the times that we weren't talking, that connectivity, the positivity, you could just feel the buzz of it. It was such an enriching thing, and you could feel the creativity popping, and we were ideating and just taking in, and there was no phones going on, and it was just such a genuine, authentic moment, and I think that truly represents who you are. I felt it immediately when I was in your presence, and I
Wow.
was. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, and I'm really was. It was an enjoyable moment. You have to excuse me if I keep bringing it up.
No, that warms my heart because what's interesting is part of the outcome of this is I really had been led to do a tour. So I'm working on a 35 city tour. And that was
Oh,
also part of what is in the works. So when you say that, it was interesting because even last night, as I was moving around some of the tour dates, I was thinking, who do I think I am? Like, why do I feel like I need to go in touch? But then, I think I may have mentioned, but I've been doing a course in miracles. So every morning when I read the lesson for the day and I'm looking at, what God is speaking and saying to me in terms of the assignments that I have been given, right? But then it's
mhm.
interesting because then at the same time, I have the news that I turn on and I hear this blurb about the state of the US, that we have a country that's suffering with higher episodes of mental illness because of PTSD, post traumatic stress from the whole global pandemic. And then even still people, I have seen people post on my feed, they're still hurting from the amount of friends who are either sick or dying. It's so there's a whole spirit of grieving that
Yeah.
that is happening, a heaviness. And
Yes.
so it's like I feel this need to, I know why I had to do the extra work, like the dig deep to
Right.
be ready for this, right? This is my
Mhm.
second version through A Course in Miracles, but last year I knew that I had to get through the course because I see I needed to have gone through it to be able to go through it again, to be a source of healing, to be able to hold spaces, right? And to be comfortable in those spaces being that authentic self, because
Right.
I haven't
Yeah.
always felt like I could be that naked,
And I
everywhere I go, if you will.
exactly, and living the experience does make a difference, because people can feel that. I know I can feel the difference in you, and people can pick up if you're preaching or speaking from a viewpoint of theory, or if you lived that life, or if you're living the lifestyle that you're speaking of, if you've actually experienced it. And that way, and I look to you as a resource, and when I ask you questions, I can see that we're connected genuinely, that you can feel what's happening, and it isn't something you're sitting outside of subjectively or objectively and looking at it and just saying, hey, you definitely have a point of view on your own experiences, and you're able to share it with me. And just being in the room with you, you can feel.
That's so wonderful. So we were talking about um, mindset, because to
Mhm.
me, I think that healing, mental health, any illness, I think disease begins in the mind, right? So I think
Absolutely.
that's why the mindset becomes so important. And
Mhm.
I know that from the time that you and I have known one another, that one of the things that always impressed me so much about you is that I knew you were a go-getter. You had a mindset that
Thank
was
you.
determined, but was clear. You know, you had moved from the East Coast to the West
Mhm.
Coast. You had your business that you were building. So you were an entrepreneur. You had your family, you know, that you were concerned with. And so you were present, you know, as a father in the ways that we can be. I know we all sometimes say, oh, I wish I could have done a little bit more of this or whatever. But, you know, you're present to the idea that, listen, I'm a father. And so I matter for somebody in that particular
Mhm.
role. So you were owning that. And then I just like that how, you know, I had you come in and doing some business with the company that I was involved with, and they
Mhm.
loved you. So it was just, you
Mhm.
know, nice having our time and our I guess our time. But the reason that I'm stumbling over my word, because when you meet someone, you never know if it's for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so, you know, to me, it was like, well, that was just, you know, I don't know, that was just a season. And, you know, but then it's like, well, wow, we reconnected again. And it wasn't like you necessarily skipped a big beat. But even
Mhm.
though in that, how would you say your mindset has expanded or pivoted, or what? Tell me about you and your mindset.
Well, I got a lot on this. I got a little history on me, and then I got a little history on us. If you remember that, I think that the reason why we found our meeting interesting, I started out early on. My mother started me out. Nancy Bell. She had all these books in her basement, and I happened to be going through them, and I happened to come across this one by J. Edgar Schwartz called "The Magic of Thinking Big." And I read the book, and I started doing the stuff in the book, and it was so corny. I'm like 16, I'm like, oh man, maybe I can be rich, or I could do something. I'm just locked in that place in New Jersey. And, I started reading that. So when I get to college, guy sees I have a couple books like that on my shelf. He says, man, you seem to have, the right mindset. I want to introduce you to my mentor, Charles Scott. I met this very valuable man called Charles Scott. He ran an insurance organization, but he taught me the value of enthusiasm. He taught me the value of attitude, the value of reading, constant reading. So I turned into, he said, if you're not reading a book a week, you're not even trying. And he constantly was having me putting in the right information, positive mental attitude information, how to speak better, how to increase your smile, how to increase your enthusiasm, how to be of value, different, how to get the way, what you want in life by giving other people what they want in life. And I say all that to say that we're out working together. And yes, you invited me to work at your company at some point, and we happened to have lunch or dinner, and then I end up coming by, and I looked at your library behind you, and you were speaking. You didn't know this at the time. You were just talking to me, and I just thought you were a lovely person. We were just meeting. We were getting to, but I was just looking at all the books and tapes and information that was behind you on the shelf, and I'm like, yeah, this one, she's a real one. She's right in the lane of what we were just in the same lane, and all the things that you're talking about were music to my ears. I didn't hear many people like that speaking about those things, and the energy of that really made you stand out in my lifetime and in my mind. And as we talked further and further, and you talked about your business interests, I gathered more and more respect for you. And I knew that I remember you were at the beginning of the commercial real estate thing. You're before the MBAs and the doctorates, and so I knew you were going there. Like it was clear. It was as clear as day. Yeah, she's getting there. And I was just, I've been tracking, and your son was very successful in as an actor. I've been to, I was going to the screenings, and I was just applauding you for being a wonderful mother to a great actor and being a fantastic businesswoman. And you're doing us all. It's all you. It's all you the whole way. So I'm super impressed. Then I come and I meet another mentor in my life, and he really, really taught me the value of the energy. And that's Richard Lawson. Most people know him as, I guess, Beyonce's new father-in-law. Tina Knowles, I think, is married. You know, they're married. So, and Richard became my mentor for about 8 years, and during about 6 years. And during that time, all we talked about were the energies and the goal setting and the missions and the value statements and the career concepts of where you're trying to go and mapping and and who you touch in your life and the importance of your network and keeping your brand what it is and knowing the difference between you and your brand and having a point of view. All those things he fed into me. And all those things are things that resonated with you and I have talked about over the years. And I built on that to get to my story. I built on that. I live my life. I run my decision tree through my mission statement. All my decisions go, this is my mission. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm here. And these are my vehicles. And if the decision doesn't, it's really quite easy. If it doesn't serve those purposes, and my family's in there, what I love and what I hate, all those things are in that mission. And if it doesn't serve those purposes, I don't have to waste a lot of thought on it unless it's emotionally grabbing me. And then even then, I look at why is it emotionally grabbing me? And then if it fits, I put it in my career concept, which is pretty much the administration of what I do. I plan out 10 years all the way back just like you do. and I got it planned 10, 5, 3, and I administrate daily. I reward myself well. I keep myself happy, and I'm very careful about what I put inside of here. And and a lot of this stuff, and I put in some of the food that I put inside of here is some of the things I get from you, from watching your show, and from hearing some of the stuff you share with me. And so I think that I have to give a lot of credit to the people I'm associating with and the importance of associating with like minds, with like energies, and helping growing others and helping them achieve creating that value. And I found that the success that's been given to me has been drawn to that as if to a magnet. If I just put the energy out, and I know the map, and I just put the energy in the directions and put the activities in motion. The journey itself is not always perfect, but it's always rewarding. I know I've done the most important things. I know I've done the things that matter most, and I can look in the mirror and feel good about myself almost most of the time. Nobody's perfect, but and when I can't look myself in the eye, I'm able to come to a place where I can sit down and try to understand myself, why I can resource people like you. I can resource other people that I feel enrich my life and my circle, my inner circle, and I just think that is just monumental. That mindset, that pattern, that map, and those relationships. I think they all come together and they create a picture, a mosaic of who I am and the people that I associate with to make me successful.
And I think that that's so important. Oh my goodness, there were so many wonderful nuggets in that. I'm going to even have you back when I release my book. So I started a book. So okay, I know I sometimes can be a little bit of a mad woman. So in the middle of law school, in the middle of being over in Jamaica, this professor that I had connected with on LinkedIn was teaching a course at Georgetown on writing this book. And so I wanted to write this thought leadership book. So I joined the course, right? Not even realizing how already I'm over my head, right?
We
And
can't help it. We love it. We love information. We love learning.
yeah,
I can't miss this learning. I can't
right.
miss this experience. I'm like that. I know.
I was stubborn. I stuck in as long as I could. And then I finally had to say, Uncle, okay, I stop. But the book I started, so I'm going to finish the book. It's called The Magnificence of Mentorship. And it's giving me an opportunity. I have a part 1 and a part 2. I have a part 1 where I pay homage to all of the women who were significant along my journey in terms of their mentorship, right? And then on part 2, I do it for all of the men, right? But this idea of relationships that you're speaking of. You know, there's a commercial that I used to love, the one that they talk about, the Fave Five. Who's your Fave Five? It was one of the cell phone company. That one stuck with me so much because I use that analogy in so many ways in terms of, well, if you need to capitalize your business, who are your 5 banking relationships that you've been cultivating? You know, it's always like, well, look, who you going to? And so you're so
A
right, because
relationship.
people say that birds of a feather flock together. You know, I've been laughing about all of those crazy old sayings that people say to you when you're a kid. You were like, why are they saying that? Like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, you get to a point where it's like, oh, I know what that means. There's some truth to that. You
Mm-hmm.
tend to flock to relationships that there's something that draw you to them. There's something. And if they're sticky, it's because there's something that's there that's sticky for you. So you
Mm-hmm.
do. So, but also with intention, if it is you look around and you see yourself at a point and it's not where you want to be, then I think it's also look around and look at how you're feeding yourself. That's why this mindset conversation is so essential, because this is feeding. You have to find books and resources. Sometimes, you know, I was thinking about that this morning, that, wow, if I read a book, am I really just rehashing somebody else's idea? Or is that really an opportunity to activate my own genius? And I've come to the conclusion that it's definitely the latter. It's that when you go to places where you're questioning, where you have curiosity, and you see someone else's exploration of similar curiosities, or giving you input about something that you don't know and they know, and they're kind of walking you through that process, right? Then that activates your own personal genius. I would say that
And
your motivation. So that's my next M. So how do you kind of talk about from your mindset now to then the fuel and your motivation, which you touched on it being your motivations, and then lastly, your manifestations, because I think you can answer both of those in that same response.
well, yeah, I think that it's very appropriate to talk about that when I really want to look at my life condition and my business condition, whether it's going very well or it's dipping, I almost always can look at it and attribute it to the 5 people that I'm talking to most during that 21 days.
Wow.
The condition of where I'm at in my business, I can always pretty much draw it back to the 5 people I've been working or speaking to most in the last 21 days. So, you know, you could change that condition by in changing about the type of people you're allowing into your space. Now, I'm careful when I say that because everybody's invited to my space, but there's timing for everything. And
Sure.
at times, my life needs a certain amount of attention, and that crowd has to be controlled because what happens is you and I have a discussion, and while you're working on something, and this is another point that you're talking about in that motivation, the creativity that happens and the ideation that happens when I'm in your presence, while you may be speaking of something similar to what I'm speaking of, rather than what you're speaking of is rather than bastardize or rather than to plagiarize whatever the person is speaking to you of, it really genuinely seeds the creativity in which you can spring from and create other limbs from, and that's a completely different thing. You know, it's a starting point to allow your juices to flow in a different direction. Sometimes somebody lights up. I'll think of it as a hallway that I didn't even know existed. I'm like, oh, I'm looking down this hall. Oh, I didn't see that passageway there. Your idea. I don't want. It may not be exactly what you said that I'm thinking, but man, you definitely lit up a hallway, and there's a variety of doors down that hallway. I'm going down there. Thank you so much. I had no idea that route was even available, and it was outside my mental paradigm at the time. And sometimes just that shared knowledge increases that paradigm, allowing your creativity to flourish even more, you know, and help you outside of you may be in this side of this box, but once you step out and into another box, it doesn't have to be a separate box. You just could be in one bigger box, if you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying. That when sometimes when I step out and speak to you in your box, they're not separate. It's just like, wow, I realize this is an even bigger box than what I'm working in. my box association. Man, that being a chest of information and the chest of creativity that can flow from it. If that's just explain what a mental paradigm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's perfect. It's so funny because it made me think about, so I also now host every Wednesday evening. I host the Black Business Expo. They have a mastermind think tank and it's open, so
Okay.
anybody can pop in or whatever, but it's every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. And the reason that I agreed to host that was for just this, is that we hold a space for business people from all over the world to come together, and we walk, it's structured in a certain way to make sure that we're facilitating a set of engagement in the space, but in that space it's fostering those little seeds that spark innovative solutions for each of, and it can be just something, it might be a conversation, it might be, and it's open. So each week everybody says what they feel like their challenge is for the week, and that keeps it fresh, because then the responses in the group is not to give that person advice, but to take that challenge and internalize it as if it was your own challenge in your business, because that changes the dynamics on then now not only how you present, but how you respond, right?
If I was you, I would do it this way.
Right,
Well, no, don't do it if it was me. Do it if it was you.
right,
No, I wouldn't do that. But if I was you, I'd do that. No, I don't. No. Do it like it's you. I notice there's a difference.
Yes.
I like you do it like it's you or your mom or.
Exactly.
I don't know what your opinion of me is, so don't just. Yeah, I get you. So you get them to take it in, and as opposed to sitting over here saying, "Hey, I think you should do that." You sit up next to each other and go, "Wow, I think we can do this." That's the kind of perspective I think you have by changing that. If I articulated that correctly.
I see it as 1 week at a time, expanding this network of possibilities. So kind of to your point, I'm open, but not everybody is able to really be in my space. But this is a kind of a safe filtering to see, this as we sift through who can stay and who goes. But self vote, you know what I mean? Because it's no requirement. They don't pay. It's, so you come if you want to. If you don't, you don't. No harm, no foul, right? I'm gonna be here.
If you allow me I hope I can come by. I'm invited, and I'd like to see sometime. That would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Make sure you let us know how we can get there, if it's open.
Yes.
And I'd appreciate that. And I wanted to take a moment to say that there was, I wanted to invite you to a couple of events because I think your knowledge, and I'll tell you about it offline. I think your knowledge is immense and should be shared. I think that what you're putting together with the 420 Wellness is something that's genuine and authentic, and I would love to support and be a part of that. I want to know everything that's going on about it, and I would love you to speak to some of the groups that I work with and speak to and help them and educate them as to what you're doing, because I really think it's something that everyone should be sharing.
Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you. I would love that. Yes, there's some definite offline stuff. And so there's a few invitations. I'm about to do a business update next week, so I'll make sure that you're on that guest list as well. So that you can hear that. Yeah. But yes, because it's time. It's time to go out and connect with the people. And I feel honored that it's an assignment. And I also feel honored that even along the journey where it felt heavy, that somehow or another I was being groomed to develop different things. I had to develop, a knowing of strength. I had to develop a knowing of being courageous. I had to feel confident to be willing to step out, to go international by yourself. It's, I'm a woman.
That's the reason. That's the reason why
I don't know if I share with you, Thomas. So the funny thing, so when my son came to Jamaica for one of the events and he saw one of the homes that I was staying at, he thought that he needed to rescue me. Like he was like, "Who do I call?" he was like, "Are they holding you hostage?" He was like, seriously. He was like, I ain't never seen you in no environment that looked nothing like this. But he was like, he told me the other day, he says, not only was it who I was calling, I was about to pick you up over my shoulder and Rambo you out of the country if that's what needed to happen.
Wow.
He was like, I'm
No.
rescuing my mama. I don't care.
Well, you've been thoroughly rescued.
And so I said, that's okay, baby. Go to sleep tonight. And I'll have, one of the Rosses take you to see some of the sights. And then let's talk again tomorrow. By lunchtime, he was back. Oh, Mom, I see you. I see
Now I
you.
get it. Now I get it. Now I get it. Okay.
He's like, you ain't playing. I see you. Okay. So,
Yeah.
that's this, this journey. It's not all glamorous at all. Sometimes, you are tested to
Yes,
find
you
your
are.
way. Yes, you are.
And then today, with everybody being so transparent and visible through their social media, that's and that I think that's important, and I think that it's important that you also are able to use that platform and speak out on social media even more thoroughly, because you'll be able to reach a lot of people that way. That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. One of the companies that I work with, I'm the CEO of B3 Media Solutions. It's a research and analytics company, a social media research company. We help strategize, help people and their brands, their products better, and how to use their social media most effectively, usually through reports and whatnot. So, but there are also women that are co-founders of mine who are always speaking out, helping other women brand themselves, increase their health and wealth, and stand out. And I just wanted to make sure that they knew about you, because I think that you would you and them would get along famously, and I think that the message needs to be heard, and they can help you get it out. And so
Well,
hopefully you'll be able to you get on the horn with them at some point. And I'm wishing you guys the best out there. Please think of me and stay up with Dr. Steph Ardrey and the 420 Wellness. And
absolutely. No, yes, I need the team right away. We're working on a 30-city tour and we're ready to go. We're getting all those pieces. So I will definitely follow up with you offline
so think
because
of B3 Media Solutions. Will be at your service. We work with various large brands. I'll be glad to give you all the resources and knowledge that I've shared over the last 10 years, and I've learned over the last 10 years. So, and my partnerships. Okay.
excellent. Well, we definitely will have that conversation. But Thomas, for anybody else that may want to reach you, do you look at other clients or are you more, kind of figuring out, you have who it is that's on your bench or if there are opportunities? What would
Well,
somebody do if they wanted to find out more about you?
if
I'll
they
put it.
want to find out more about me and B3 Media Solutions, they can go to b3mediasolutions.com, and you'll see the story about what I do and who we are. You'll see my founders and partners, and I'm also on LinkedIn as Thomas Bell, B3 Media Solutions, and Instagram, I'm Thomas Bell 01. Thomas Bell 01. And then you can follow my acting career. I've had a few television shows I'm sure you've heard of. So, feel free to follow me, and I hope you guys enjoy my work.
Absolutely. I know I'm a fan.
Uh,
I get to say that I'm a friend, so I like being able
I
to
can't wait to work with your son. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I
exactly.
cannot wait to work with that guy. He's amazing. He's such a gifted, talented performer, and I cannot
Oh,
wait to get an opportunity. I don't care if I have to write something for it. We're
well,
gonna do it.
he's back in
You gotta
California
do it.
and he's ready to be in the game again. He's still working on his music and he's producing, but he's looking at
He killed it in the movie with Cat Williams.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
exactly.
Yeah, he killed that. Murdered
Exactly.
that piece. I love it. So I can't wait to see him again. Let's get together sooner than later. I have a hard stop. I have to get on to another
No
appointment.
worries.
I appreciate you guys having me, and thank you. All
All
right.
right. Take
I'll wait
care.
for you to, I guess, take me out the room. I won't leave
No
you.
worries.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye. Well, everyone, again, thank you for joining me for another week of Naked with Dr. Money. As you see, I have a lot of great conversations that I look forward to continuing to have. But on a serious note, the reason that I'm hosting this weekly vlog is to share the behind scenes of how it is I manage the journey of maintaining my own mind, body, and soul as an entrepreneur, like many of you, are in the early stage of a new venture that I'm creating. And so you know how hard the dance is when the baby is new. You wearing too many hats, you're not getting enough sleep, you're doing all kind of, and I'm doing this globally, so add that. So there are things like cultural, language, you name it, lifestyle differences. So it's all of that stuff at one. Plus I should be studying for the California bar in July. So just I'm not doing that much. But anyway, if you believe that, well, but anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show and you'll be here again next week. Remember, it's Wednesdays at noon Pacific time, and I broadcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, and the Dr. Money Live YouTube channel. So check me out, and I hope to see you again soon. In the meantime, until next week, be nice to someone, give them a smile. It doesn't cost you anything. Just give a smile. All right. And I'll see you guys next week. Take care.